years. All right, the next subject now is going to be about James Lindsay. And, it's a shame because James Lindsay, he may do good work. I have one of his books here on my shelf, but then again, it was co-authored with Helen Pluckrose, so perhaps he was the guy that sat around and smoked the pot and ate potato chips and said, yeah, that sounds good. I don't know. I'm beginning to think that way because he seems to be almost anti-intellectual. And I understand that he is, like myself, sometimes a prankster, and sometimes we pretend to be stupid or whatever to make a point. But, I've been reading most of his posts for months now, and I don't think he's pretending to be stupid. But I could be wrong. This is what started off. James Lindsay, he goes by James Lindsay Anti-Communist at the moment, fully checkmark, and the handle is at Conceptual James, which is a play about the conceptual penis, which is part of a hoaxed SoCal squared hoax. I probably shouldn't get too into that, but if you look up SoCal hoax, conceptual penis, SoCal squared, maybe put James Lindsay in there, put Helen Pluckrose in there, and what's his name? I gotta look at this book here on my shelf. Peter Boghossian. And that's he co-authored with James Lindsay, How to Have Impossible Conversations. It's interesting how impossible it is to have a conversation with James when he is a co-author of a book, How to Have Impossible Conversations. All right, so here we go. He posted this. He's been having a bit of a disagreement lately with people like Carl Benjamin and Tim Pool over the concept of woke left, which I think was coined by James Lindsay, if I remember correctly, but don't trust my memory on that. He posted these images that are supposedly screenshots, and I have no reason to doubt that, but, sort of autistic when it comes to trying to be exact about what words I use, because, people can fake screenshots very easily. Woke left on the left, woke right on the right. Woke left over here is an example from a person, Dr. Lori Rubel, saying, here's one way, 2 + 2 = 4, gets used as a slogan for what? It is used as a stand-in to represent and signify some kind of basic truth, a supposedly clear-cut, God-given, context-free, and objective truth. And then another one from the same person saying, practically in the same breath, 2 + 2 = 4 gets used as a tidy justification for an explanation for reasoning that there are only 2 genders, that every gender matches their sex, and that everyone is attracted to those of the opposite gender or sex. That's pretty stupid and wrong, and I could go into that, how wrong this idiot is about a lot of that, but that is so beside the point that it would bog us down when there's so much else to get into. But that is James Lindsay providing an example of what he is terming as woke left, just what most people just call woke. And we could also say that's overgeneralizing, stereotyping, etc. Now, on the right-hand side, as an example, woke right from James Lindsay is a tweet by Carl Benjamin, or an image thereof, or supposedly Sargon of Akkad on X, saying, the problem is that reality as we experience it might indeed be radically subjective, and until you can demonstrate that it isn't, then we are in a bind, aren't we? Now, what Carl Benjamin is expressing here is by no means a unique view. It's not new at all. It goes back thousands of years, and it's not really radical or controversial or just simple philosophy when you really think about it. And you don't even need to read about the philosophies like that of Plato, Socrates, and Pyrrho, and Timon, or however you say his name, or the Ataraxia school, or any of that. You just need to think, and I'll explain. But that is what James Lindsay is saying is woke right. Now, I think what's going on here, having read his stuff for a while, is that James Lindsay understands that in critical theory, post-Marxism, cultural Marxism, postmodernism, the political side, not the artistic side, there is the tendency to start off with saying that that it is easy to engage in deconstructionism, to the point where we could do what Rene Descartes did, which is to doubt everything that can be doubted. And you get that also in quantum mechanics, saying that a lot of things that we assume to be true are not necessarily, and etc. and etc. and etc. And then they jump from that to, therefore, what we're about to assert is as true as anything else, and because it serves our side, we should assert it as being more true than anything else. We're the only truth. Hey, we just justified it, so let's do it. And they're jumping over a very wide gulf. What they're not doing is they're not engaging in what Rene Descartes did, which is to say that there's different, conflicting views of things. Sometimes we are mistaken. Sometimes we're pretty sure we're walking down the road with a cane in our hand and our dog at our side, and then we wake up and we realize we never even had a dog, nor do we have legs, and there's no such thing as a cane. It's just something made up. And then we could wake up and go, I just had a dream where I had no legs and there was no such thing as a cane, and I had no dog. But here's my dog laying next to the bed, and there's my cane. So Rene Descartes, and that's not exactly how he put it, he just said that we can conceive of spirits, for example, deceiving us and making us think that blue is red, making us think that we're awake and we're asleep, making us think that there's a solid table upon which I lay my paper and write when there is no such thing, etc., 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 because we can conceivably doubt all these things, and we can conceive of situations where this may be so. Be it dream, hallucinations, and now we have the whole brain in the vat idea, which is that imagine a brain in a vat hooked up to wires and a computer that simulates reality. We all have virtual, we know what virtual reality is, so we understand that concept. Most people have seen The Matrix. They understand the same concept, that you can have a whole virtual reality. Now, what Rene Descartes did is he said, okay, well, is there something that I can't reasonably doubt? And he found that he can't reasonably doubt that he is engaging in thought. Even by denying that he is engaging in thought, he realized that would actually be proving that he is engaging in thought, for to doubt is to think. And that is the ground upon which he built everything else. Now, some people think that means, nothing is true, therefore anything is possible. No. It's just, that's one thing that we can say that we know for certain. Does that mean that everything is equally up for grabs or doubt? No. As one person commented to me in this whole thread, you're not sure that if you jump off a cliff that you're going to fall and hurt yourself, but would you jump off a cliff? Well, no. Just like, you could think of reality, or you could think of the way that we think about these things as being us making bets. Am I 100% sure that the coffee that I'm drinking isn't poisonous? No, but I'm so close to 100% sure that I would bet $1 million against $1 that this coffee is not going to kill me because it doesn't have any poison in it. But am I totally sure? No. Am I totally sure I'm sitting in the chair drinking coffee? Clearly not. I could wake up. I've had hallucinations, I've had meditations, I've had visions, I've had dreams that seem just as real as things seem real to me right now. And perhaps that's not an experience a lot of people have had, but we all dream. I think we've all had dreams where we wake up and we go, wow, that seems so real. So I think you know where I'm going with that. All right, so that's that. Now, James Lindsay posted this, and it seems to be his way of saying that Carl Benjamin is being woke, even though he's on the right, because he's engaging in the postmodernist critical theory, tactic, which is to try to go, it's like a version of cosmic woo-woo. When Deepak Chopra goes, because quantum mechanics says this, and spiritual teachers say that, and we know this is true, we know that's truth, so therefore, woo-woo, cosmic woo-woo, and, and he doesn't really connect up the equation. He just gives you this big, long equation, and he shows you how a couple of parts of the equation is true, so therefore, his conclusion must be true. And he's counting on people not understanding the mystifying equation, or even trying to, because there's just so much to it. Because who understands quantum mechanics and how a particle can be in two places at one time, and all that sort of thing? And really, that stuff really is hard to understand, and he uses it to his advantage, and that's the part of the whole equation that is just the question mark, and people just have to shrug and go, well, it makes me feel good to believe it, so I do. So that, I think, postmodernism, the political kind, the critical theory, culture Marxist thing, that engages in that sort of thing. They start off with like, you don't know if this, that, and the other thing is true, so we have to doubt everything. So then we're going to put forth this whole thing like critical race theory, microaggressions, and all that stuff, and you can't prove it's wrong, so therefore we're going to say it's true because it serves our side, and etc. And the whole sort of either suggestion, implication, or outright statement that everything is equally uncertain, which is not correct. That's not reasonable. And James Lindsay is so opposed to that sort of thing that he's just going to label the rational view that Carl Benjamin is taking, that René Descartes is taking, that Greek philosophers took, and others took, and people in Vedantic philosophy took, and then I'm taking right now. He's going to label that as, well, that's just as bad as the woke left. And he's wrong. And I think he knows he's wrong. But I could be projecting onto him, I don't know. Well, anyway, I commented on that with, to say that reality might be subjective is sound logic. And by reality here, I'm saying what people think of as reality, physical reality, etc., etc., etc. That doesn't mean that nothing is real. I'm saying what people usually mean by the word reality might be subjective, and that's just sound logic. That's neither left nor right. It's correct. Wait, watch this. The only thing you can prove is the fact that you are conscious at the moment, and you can only prove that to yourself at this moment. Deal with it. And other people jump in, and we could go through that, but I want to stick primarily with what Lindsay has to say about this, James Lindsay, and I think that would be the next tab over. He took that, what I just read, shared it, and commented 2 + 2 = 4. What you probably know is, that's the Orwellian concept, and he's trying to reduce this to, look, 2 + 2 is 4, no matter how much you want to say it's 5. And that is a sort of anti-intellectual reduction. And it is also assuming too much. Have we not had dreams where, for example, conceive of a dream where in the dream you are interacting with a single person. You wake up and you realize that the character in the dream that you are interacting with doesn't really exist, but it's an amalgamation of two real people in your life. And, it's really hard to conceive of such a thing, but it happens. At least in my dreams, I often have a dream where a character is an amalgamation of two real people, or two different characters, or two different sides of a real person. Stuff like that. Now imagine you have a dream where there's a symbol on a piece of paper that looks like the number 2, and you think of that as a certain quantity, and then you wake up and you realize that in your dream the number 2 meant 3. And that you just had this weird, or think of in your dream there's a letter that looks like a certain shape, and it corresponds with a certain sound, and you're writing your name in accordingly, and you wake up and you realize there is no such letter. Now, I would bet $1 billion to 1 that 2 is twice the number 1, and that 2 + 2 is 4 times the number 1. Did I say letter? But anyway, I would bet $1 billion to 1 that it is correct that 2 + 2 = 4, and that there is an objective reality in which we could hold up 2 fingers and 2 other fingers and realize that we are holding up 4 fingers total, and all that. I could be, and I'm 99.99999 vanishingly percent sure of that, but not 100% sure of that. And I know from my own experience that I've had illusions and dreams and visions and whatnot that are just as convincingly real, or seem just as real as the idea that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Seems to me right now. But however, those are temporary, and then you come out of it. All right, now, so that's what James reduces that to. 2 plus 2 equals 4. He is making a good point in and of itself, but as a response to my point, it's pretty reductionally, it's pretty stupid. I respond to James, I can hold your hand and walk you through this simple concept that even children can understand if you want to. It's not that hard. And then somebody else jumps in, and I think maybe he might have responded to me at some point, but let me see here, I could be wrong. That might be the only thing he had to say about the matter. Let me just check in my notifications. New notifications. But let's see here. What I'm looking for is anything coming from James Lindsay other than sharing that and adding this 2 plus 2 equals 4 thing. There, and you can see that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. So, now at this point if I want, I can go into what other people have to say about it, but it's different versions of what I've already said. Let's see here. Alright, maybe I should read this. At one point I say, see, you folks are so used to the woke left postmodern tactic of, we can't prove that it's true, so nothing is true, therefore we can act as if our narratives are true, even though they aren't because of postmodernism. That you have thrown the baby out with that dirty bathwater. That shows that you do not grasp basic logic. That shows that you do not use the solid foundation available to you because you have tossed it out with wokeism. That's unwise, and that's a loser script. And yeah, it is a baby being thrown out with the bathwater. I think what's going on is that James, he certainly does seem to be jumping to the conclusion that if I point out that there is a lot that we assume to be objectively true, that is doubtable and reasonably so. He seems to be assuming that I'm doing that postmodern tactic, that I'm on the left or the whole side of that whole tactic. And I don't know if he's feigning ignorance. I don't know if he's assuming it because he's got a certain, let's say, audience behind him that seem to be a certain way. I really don't know. But I will say that James, for months, I've seen him play this whole game of, I'm not going to explain any of this to you. I'm going to be snarky, and I'm going to be witty, or seem to appear to be so, and insulting, and playful. But if you try to hold me down and get me to explain, I'm actually going to be really immature and unreasonable and sort of bitter. And that's the part that I object to. It's cool to be playful. It's cool to sort of mock and all that. But when somebody's trying really hard to be sincere and trying to get you to understand something, and the more they try to get you to explain something simple, the more that you sort of get mad and insulting, it starts to become more and more obvious that you're actually using a smoke screen to hide that you're full of shit.